So erythroblastosis fetalis. So this is a chronic anemic condition where there is an incompatibility with the maternal mother and the baby in terms of blood groups. So we talked about before about the Rh factors, right? So we talked about the ABO and we talked about the Rh factors. And so this is a condition also known as the Rh negative mother with the Rh positive baby, right? And this becomes a big role where the body begins to attack the fetus during pregnancy, right? So first off, let's start off. So if you have a Rh positive father, so if the father has this blood type group, not relevant to actually the ABO, right, but specifically these Rh factors, a father that has Rh positive group and a mother that is Rh negative, right, this becomes actually an issue of warning, right? So this is why it's really important to know your blood type specifically right before pregnancy if you want to have some babies, right? So mom and dad get busy, and they get, fertilized. Now you have a baby on the way, right? And so what becomes a problem is if the mother is bearing a child, male or female, with an Rh positive blood group, right? And this is why it's a very bad situation, right? So during the cross-linking of the genetic material, the father, for example, donates the positive Rh factor to the fetus, right? And so now the mom is carrying, Rh negative mom is carrying a baby with a Rh positive blood group, right? So if I were to draw the mother here, so this is Rh negative, and then we have the baby here. So this is my obsession with shapes. So you have the mom, and then you have the fetus, boy or girl, doesn't matter, Rh positive, right? And so you can see that there's some kind of incompatibility already with the blood type. The reason for that is, at some moment during pregnancy, whether it's 1, 2, 3 stages of gestation, right? The first, second, or third stage of gestation, there is a cross-linking of the blood, right? And if you remember, the Rh negative does not have any antigens, right? So they don't have any of the Rh antigens. So when the body of the fetus crosses, the blood of the fetus crosses the umbilical arteries and veins, and you have this exposure of Rh factors present here, the mother's immune system plays a big role in finding out what's going on, right? So the immune system goes in and checks it out, sees what's going on, and realizes, okay, this is something that's foreign, that's not us, let's make some antibodies on it. So the mother develops these antibodies against this, right? This becomes a problem usually after the first birth, right? So we're looking at the first birth right now. This is the first baby, everything is fine, no problem, right? But the mother develops these antibodies against the Rh factor that's present from the fetus. The immune system, so I have questions that I always ask, what about the baby then? Why is the baby not really playing a big role? Well, the baby's immune system has not developed yet, so the immune system of the fetus is not at all relevant at this point, okay? So mom and dad are like, okay, let's get busy again. Nothing happened, everything was fine, right? They want to have another kid. Oh, here we go again. They get the blood type again, and they realize, oh no, we have now an Rh positive baby again. Now this becomes a problem. Now this Rh positive phenomenon becomes a problem because if you remember, now in the bloodstream, the mom has all of these Rh positive antibodies, right? So they're used to build up to attack the fetus. Okay, so we're looking at the second birth now. When this happens now, when the bloods cross with each other, these antibodies bind to the Rh positive group of the fetus's red blood cells. This binding leads to instances of hemolysis, right? So hemolytic anemias take place, and so the red blood cell count of the baby usually goes down. So the mother's immune system now is playing a big role in actually attacking the fetus, right? And so this becomes a big problem because they can lead to miscarriages during birth or before birth, everything like that. And it's really important to diagnose immediately in order to save the life of the actual child, right? And so now, again, and this carries on continuously, right? So if it has a third baby, again, Rh positive, you still have the same response every single time, right? But for example, if I decide to, change this up and we have an Rh negative baby, and again, still the Rh negative mother. What happens here? This is the third birth, for example. Because there is no antigen present in the fetus, there is no antibodies binding specifically to the cell of the fetus, the red blood cells of this fetus, and so there is no response, right? And so this is a higher likelihood. But for example, forget this part. So we're not going to focus on here. Let's focus on here. All right. So we have a condition here. We are able to diagnose it, and we're going to prepare for it, right? And so we said the antibodies are a big part of your adaptive immunity, right? So as part of your adaptive immunity, and these immune system, the part of your adaptive immunity secretes antibodies for this. So what would you think would be a proper way of treating someone with this, patients? Okay, so before, what they used to do is they used certain kinds of drugs, right, to inhibit the immune system, right? So immunosuppressants are used in a lot of cases. So immunosuppressants are used in order to suppress the immune system from actually binding these antibodies and causing the actual immune response against the fetus, right? So the mother identifies the fetus as a pathogen, so it wants to destroy it, right? A very common drug that they use, it's called Rogam. Rogam is an anti-Rh antibody. Anti, right? So what does that mean? So in the blue, we know that the Rh here, these are all Rh antibodies, right? So Rogam is an anti-Rh antibody, right? What that means is these are specific types of proteins that come in and block these antibodies from binding. So if you block the binding sites, these Rh factors that are originally going to target the Rh factors of the fetus are inhibited. So this actually prevents any kinds of this anemia that is generated, right? And so if you look at the actual name, Erythroblastosis Fetalis, Fetalis is referring to the fetus. Erythroblastosis is the creation of red blood cells. Why would there be a creation of red blood cells in the fetus? Easy. Well, all these antibodies that are being generated here are used against these Rh factors, which causes lysis, hemolytic anemias of these babies, right? So because the fetal baby's body recognizes that the red blood cell count is going down, so it needs to begin the process of erythropoiesis. So it makes premature erythrocytes in order to prevent this kinds of anemia for progression.